In this episode of Watching the Watchers, we're talking about how the state of Arizona and different cities make millions of dollars off of towing people's cars and impounding them. The article is entitled, "Arizona is Getting Millions from People Who Can't Afford to Pay a Tow Company." It was written by J. Edward Moreno from the Arizona Republic. As a reminder, in Watching the Watchers, we're talking about police officers who are involved in misconduct. We're talking about prosecuting offices and their policies. We're talking about other different policies that exist throughout Arizona that adversely impact people who are charged with crimes or who are facing the justice system in one way or another. Today we're talking about situations where an individual is stopped, they're arrested, their vehicle gets towed and impounded. This article specifically is saying that in certain situations people are not able to get their vehicle out of the tow yard, and as a result they have to forfeit their vehicles. So traditionally what happens is when somebody gets their vehicle towed, it's usually for some sort of problem. It's either a parking violation or it's something where they didn't have their registration, and so they will stop them and impound their vehicle, or they're stopped for driving on a suspended license, or it's more of a serious crime like a DUI, or it's an accident or something like that. What ends up happening is the vehicle is towed, there's a tow fee, it gets impounded, and then the tow company will charge somebody additional fees every single day that it's in there. And Arizona, if you are not able to get your vehicle out after a certain time, if you cannot afford to get your vehicle out, Arizona will actually charge you a $500 fee. So the Arizona Department of Transportation will then charge you $500 in order to get rid of your vehicle. It's called an abandoned vehicle fee. And in the last 9 years, so from 2010 to 2019, Arizona has made about $36 million from that fee, and that's about $4 million a year. So you can see it's big money, and that money goes back into the government's coffers. It's a big problem for people. What we see here is, think of it this way. So I wrote out some numbers here, but I'll just run you through how this traditionally works. What happens is somebody will get a suspended license for some reason or another. So let's run through this hypothetical. Somebody gets a photo radar ticket. They don't know what to do with it. They've gotten some advice to throw it away. Something happens, the court thinks that they responded, and they get what's called a default judgment because they didn't go to their court date. So what happened is the court thought that they should be there. Because they didn't show up, they automatically lose their case. It's called a default judgment. What happens then is the original fine of about $250 doubles. It's a default judgment fee. They tack on all of these different fines and surcharges. So now you're looking at $500. Your license also gets suspended. So from a simple traffic ticket, now you're driving on a suspended license. You're driving your vehicle home to work, to pick up your children, whatever it is you're doing. You get stopped by an officer. He says, "Hey, did you know your license was suspended? You should have." And then they impound your vehicle. You get charged with a crime for driving on a suspended license. That's another very serious offense in Arizona. It's a class 1 misdemeanor. You can get up to 6 months in jail for that. So you can see how a photo radar ticket turns into a driving on a suspended license charge, and your vehicle gets impounded. So how do you get your license back? Well, you have to pay off the photo radar fee. Okay, that's $500. You got the $250 for the original fine, then you have $250 for the default judgment. You're also probably going to have a tow fee of around $150 to $250, and then every day that your vehicle's in there, that's another $30. After the 30 days, the Arizona MVD can consider your vehicle abandoned, and then they're going to tack on another $500 fees. The driving on a suspended license charge, to resolve that, probably going to be another $500 charge. So when you add it all up, you can see how this can cost somebody about $2,100. That's before the $500 abandonment fee. So let's say somebody goes through this process. They get a driving on a suspended license charge, their car's impounded, it stays there for 30 days. They got to come together with enough money to go pay off the underlying ticket, which is $500, then the reinstatement fee, which is another $30. Then they got to go and get their vehicle out of the impound. So you have the $250 tow fee plus all of the additional $30 a day every day until you can get your vehicle out. So somebody has to come up with immediately right around $750, which just a lot of people don't have. Then you add in to the fact that the $30 compounds over all the days, that easily could go into $900. So you've got the $750 plus the $900, If you want to also resolve your driving on a suspended license case, that's another $500. Comes out to over $2,000 from one simple traffic violation that wasn't addressed appropriately. Then, if you can't pay that to get your vehicle out, and let's face it, a lot of people's cars are not worth that. They're not worth $2,100. So if they're less than that, if it's a $1,000 vehicle, it doesn't make financial sense for somebody to go and get their vehicle out. So then they'll just say, I'm going to forfeit the vehicle. Then they get hit with another bill from the Arizona Department of Transportation for another $500. In order to get all this stuff taken care of, now you're looking at about $2,680 in terms of total out-of-pocket cost to get that dealt with. Not to mention the fact that you have a Class 1 misdemeanor now on your record. So you can see here, people who are already struggling with finances, they already are not making a huge amount of money. If they had a bad registration or something like that, this compounds very, very quickly. And now we're talking about almost $3,000 that somebody needs to come up with in order to make this all go away. It's a big problem. There's an officer out of the Phoenix Police Department, somebody who I did a ride-along with when I was in law school, who knew these numbers by heart. He knew every single time that he stopped and cited somebody, he would basically keep a running tally on that night. He would say, that driving on a suspended license charge was $1,500. That traffic ticket, $400. This is going to be $700. And we did that all night. By the end of the night, he just started throwing around numbers. Well, we just generated $20,000 worth of revenue for the government, for the city. A lot of that goes back into the police department and the Department of Transportation and all these different things. It's a big problem. It's kind of a disgusting way to look at it, but it's the reality of the situation. These are big generating, income generating machines for the government and for these different agencies. And so it's important to understand that if you're dealing with traffic stuff, it may seem very minor. It may seem like it's something that is not a big deal. Simple traffic ticket, a simple photo radar ticket. These things can compound very, very quickly. And that's not to mention the time that you lose without a car. What does it cost you when you do not have a car? What does it cost you if you're not able to go pick your kids up? You got to have somebody else do it. Or if you miss a meeting for work because you don't have transportation to get there, what happens? Those opportunity costs are not even in this equation. So very serious. Wanted to let you know about that policy. The article was written by J. Edward Moreno of the Arizona Republic. Awesome job calling attention to something that is going on all over Arizona. You can see just from the numbers, $36 million over 9 years, about $4 million a year for people who can't afford to get their vehicles out. They're losing their vehicles. The vehicle, not to mention, is now being, the title's transferred over to another entity so they can also profit off the vehicle. All of those numbers don't even mention what the vehicle cost or what was the value of the vehicle. If it's a $1,000 vehicle, tack it on. If it's a $1,500 vehicle, it's another $1,500 loss. Plus you got to come out of pocket to go get another car. It compounds very, very quickly. When you get into a little hole like this, sometimes it's difficult to get out of it. You can't dig your way out. So if you or somebody you know or love needs help with any traffic-related offense or any criminal-related offense in Arizona, it's what we do here at my law firm, the R&R Law Group. Be happy to schedule a free case evaluation with you. On this episode of Watching the Watchers, we talked about policy related to towing. There are a lot of other things that we're going to talk about, so I appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and tuning in. Thanks for watching.